What if your appearance isn't just about aesthetics, but a deep spiritual sign? Imagine someone who has already lived 5 decades but radiates the energy of someone still in their early adulthood. Is there something beyond skincare or exercise routines that explains this phenomenon? Today, we're going to uncover what spirituality has to say about this seemingly fountain of youth that many people seem to have found. Believe it or not, we're not just talking about regular beauty practices, but something deeper that can transform our vitality and reflect in every feature of our faces. If you're curious to understand how this happens and what the secret is behind such youthful energy, stick around until the end. There are details here that could change the way you see your own reflection in the mirror. Many people don't realize the power of what we call internal energy and how this force affects our exterior. This isn't just some mystical or abstract talk, it's something we can actually perceive and feel. Think of those times when, without exchanging a word, you can sense if someone is weighed down by problems or if they radiate a contagious peace. This kind of perception goes beyond what we see on the surface. And that's where spirituality comes into play, showing us that how we care for our essence directly reflects on our appearance. Instead of diving into complicated explanations, let's simplify what it means to have spiritual youth. There are times when the body might show signs of fatigue, but the person keeps going, genuinely smiling and displaying vitality in every gesture. This happens because there's a refreshing energy coming from within, something that doesn't just rely on physical condition but on a deeper alignment. This alignment is often related to how we view life, our beliefs, how we face challenges, and the connections we make along the way. And you don't need to be a specialist in religious doctrines to notice this effect. It manifests naturally when our will to live, learn, and grow spiritually takes the reins. You might know people with a radiant presence who always seem to be in a state of light tranquility, no matter what's going on around them. These are the ones who, even when facing problems, manage to keep a serene expression on their face. In this sense, youthful appearance can also be seen as a reflection of a confident and peaceful heart. It's not uncommon that when we look at these people, we find ourselves questioning how they've achieved such a bright state of mind. Almost always, this is linked to a constant commitment to their inner development. Sometimes, in the hustle and bustle of daily life, we forget to pay attention to our inner energy. We get so caught up in taking care of the outside, with creams, sunscreens, workouts, and diets, that we overlook what's going on inside. While all these external efforts are important, they work even better when paired with emotional and spiritual balance. Someone who harbors resentment or lives in constant negativity might try to hide their wrinkles, but will struggle to completely mask the tension reflected in their facial expression. On the flip side, a person who nurtures positive thoughts and seeks to maintain inner harmony often reveals a more rested and serene face, even if they have accumulated many years. If your curiosity about this topic is growing, it might be a good time to check out other content that explores the power of spirituality and internal energy without losing thread of the subject. There are various perspectives and practices that can further strengthen this state of rejuvenation, which is why it's always worth keeping an eye on materials that deal with these issues. Speaking of spiritual youth, a concept that intrigues many is that of old souls. The idea that certain people have gone through many experiences, gaining accumulated wisdom, may seem contradictory to the idea of youth. After all, how can someone carrying a load of emotional or spiritual baggage appear younger? But this apparent contradiction resolves when we look at how these experiences are assimilated. Some people accumulate learning in a way that makes life lighter and more fluid, using their wisdom to avoid unnecessary drama, learning to forgive and accept, and cultivating more gratitude. This process doesn't carry weight, instead, it brings clarity. And mental clarity can often light up the eyes and soften the expression. Think about everyday situations. You may have met someone who has faced huge obstacles but hasn't lost their ability to smile or see beauty in the day-to-day. This person often embodies what we call an old soul. They have lived so much, learned so much about life, that they now handle difficulties with greater serenity. And serenity is a powerful ingredient for maintaining a youthful look. Instead of getting weighed down by every stumble, this individual acknowledges the problem, seeks solutions, and moves forward with the resilience of someone who knows that everything is part of the learning process. It's almost like becoming older in experience makes them younger in spirit, as they don't let past hurts accumulate and weigh them down. Inspirational stories about people turning pain into strength are abundant. You might know a woman who, over the years, has found a greater meaning in her experiences, refined her spiritual practices, or even discovered a new faith that fills her with hope. When you look at her, you notice something different in her eyes, a kind of light that goes beyond physical appearance. And this spark of inner light has so much impact that it can indeed make real age go unnoticed. If you find this interesting, there's so much more to discover along this theme, so it's worth following all the content to the end and keeping an eye out for future reflections. When we start to unravel the elements that help maintain this youthful state, we can't ignore nature. It's essential for recharging our energy and, consequently, even influencing the vitality of our skin. You may notice this when you spend time in green spaces, where energy seems to flow more gently. It's like nature acts as a big balm that calms the mind and dissolves internal tensions. In many spiritual traditions, contact with earth, water, and fresh air is seen as a true source of healing. Walking barefoot on the grass, for example, is a simple practice that can surprisingly renew our spirits. The human body responds positively when it feels in harmony with the natural environment. And you don't have to live in rural areas to enjoy this benefit. Even in big cities, you can find squares, parks, or small green areas that serve as refuges. A few minutes each day breathing fresh air, soaking in the sunlight, or just admiring the beauty of plants can have a long-lasting effect on overall well-being. It's in that balance between daily life and breaks for reconnection that we start to notice a renewed vigor. And this vigor isn't just mental, it translates into gestures, expressions, and even body posture. If you're finding this conversation meaningful, there's a wealth of content that explores techniques and practices to restore the bond with nature. The interesting thing is that these practices don't always require huge investments or advanced knowledge. Sometimes, just opening a window to let the sun in for a few minutes, caring for a plant, or taking a little walk can do wonders. The key is to create a habit and understand that every connection we make with the natural world helps to recharge our energy reservoir. Another important aspect of maintaining a youthful look is linked to how positivity and purpose are cultivated in life. Have you noticed that when we're excited about a project, whether personal or professional, we often seem to take on a more vibrant appearance? Motivation comes from within and lights up the outside. This state of enthusiasm encourages us to take better care of ourselves, as we have something driving us forward. And when we talk about purpose, we're not only referring to grand goals. It can be as simple as finding time to help a neighbor, learning a new skill, or dedicating yourself to a hobby that brings joy. A life without purpose tends to feel heavy, and gradually, this lack of direction can reflect in the tired expression of someone who finds no meaning in their routines. But when there's a clearer why, the difficulties feel less suffocating, as each obstacle can turn into a chance for growth or reaffirmation of what moves us. An internal state of contentment, even in the face of challenges, acts as a true elixir of youth. So, if you feel like you haven't found a clear purpose yet, that's okay. It can emerge in unexpected situations, when we explore new possibilities and realize that something ignites passion and excitement within us. Keeping an open mind and allowing ourselves to explore different interests is a way to discover paths that bring genuine joy. If at any point you feel it's worth sharing how your experience in seeking this internal youth is going, don't hesitate to share it with others, whether in everyday chats or in spaces where ideas are exchanged. Often, by sharing our own experiences, we find others who have gone through similar stories, creating an atmosphere of encouragement. And trust me, exchanging positive energy is one of the most effective ways to keep our vitality high. But how can we talk about energy, rejuvenation, and that sparkle in our eyes without mentioning the importance of empathy and kindness? These two elements have a huge impact on our aura, how we vibrate, and consequently, the image we project to the world. Practicing empathy means not only understanding how others feel but also actively choosing not to nurture destructive judgments. Kindness, in turn, builds bridges, strengthens bonds, and helps us live in harmony with those around us. Have you noticed that genuinely kind people always seem to have their own light? That's because the energy they emit is filled with a sense of calm and warmth. On the flip side, anger, resentment, and intolerance can create a heavy cloud around those who harbor them. It's like the body reacts to these feelings, creating visible tension on our faces. So when we choose to cultivate empathy and kindness, we not only improve our relationships but also eliminate a bunch of internal micro-tensions that would otherwise weigh down our expression. And this change can be felt so positively that, after a while, even the people around you notice something different, a touch of lightness in your demeanor. If this resonates with you, here's a gentle reminder that there are plenty of materials out there to help you understand how to practice empathy and kindness in real life. Nothing has to be forced, it's the small daily actions that make a difference. For example, listening attentively, responding calmly, and trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It's interesting to see how when we adopt these behaviors, we're often the biggest beneficiaries. We experience less stress, fewer internal conflicts, and ultimately, more vitality. And you, have you left any positive feedback on this content? If not, maybe this is the moment to jot down a quick reaction, as this can spark even more reflections like these. Sharing ideas is essential, and even if it feels like a small gesture, it makes a huge difference in the vibe for both creators and viewers. It's amazing how energy circulates subtly and thrives on these signs of approval and interest. Anyway, we've talked quite a bit about the foundations that contribute to inner youth: energy, light, wisdom, connection with nature, positivity, life purpose, empathy, and kindness. But there's one component we can't forget: the ability to adapt. Those who don't renew themselves in the face of change end up stagnating, and that stagnation can manifest in different areas, including appearance. On the other hand, those who practice adaptability allow themselves to discover new horizons, learn to navigate twists and turns, and remain mentally active. Adaptability doesn't mean forgetting who we are or where we came from. It's about being flexible enough to embrace what life offers, whether lessons, opportunities, or challenges. It's understanding that nothing stays the same forever and that this constant change is a fundamental part of any journey. When we accept this flow, we stop resisting transition so strongly and avoid the wear and tear that stubbornness and excessive attachment can cause. In the end, a sense of lightness emerges because we stop fighting against the inevitable and learn to align our actions with what's happening around us. This alone reduces anxiety, inner conflicts, and that mental fatigue that weighs so heavily on our faces. But watch out, adaptability isn't synonymous with giving up or being passive. On the contrary, it means maintaining an open mindset, analyzing what can be done in each situation, and figuring out how to act more balanced. This act of fitting together who we are and what the moment requires brings a unique sense of peace. And peace is often the antidote to premature aging. A calm face carries softer expressions, bright eyes, and a confident, serene voice. If you've made it this far, you probably realize that the youth we admire in some people isn't just the result of cosmetics, healthy eating, or beauty procedures. It's born from a combination of factors that involve how we deal with our emotions, how we broaden our worldview, how we seek balance within ourselves and with nature, and how we choose to be empathetic, kind, and, above all, open to the transformations that life presents us. None of this means we deny the importance of our physical body. If we can find a way to care for both our health and our spiritual side, we're on the path to authentic youthfulness that goes beyond fleeting appearances. It's true that time doesn't stop, and we all go through inevitable changes. What we can do is adjust how we go through these stages. Interestingly, it's this approach that ultimately defines how young we seem even as the years roll on. If today you feel motivated to seek a bit more internal energy, harmony with nature, or a purpose in life, maybe this is the sign you've been waiting for to start putting all this into practice. Small habit changes, paired with a sincere desire to evolve, can lead to much bigger transformations than we imagine. Before we wrap up, take a moment to think about how you've been managing your experiences and feelings. If there's something that needs more attention, like letting go of grudges, casting aside negativity, or taking a step forward to revive a dream you've shelved, why not start right now? When we take care of our thoughts, our emotions, and nurture our faith, whatever form it may take, we pave the way for a fuller life. And that fullness doesn't go unnoticed. The people around us will surely see something different in our smile, our eyes, and even the way we speak. By this point, you have plenty of material to think about your own state of inner youth. If this conversation sparked any insights, try this. Take a moment to look at yourself in the mirror on a day when you wake up feeling great, after a restful night or following something that made you happy. Compare that face to the one you see after a long day of bad news, conflicts, or negative thoughts. It's clear how our inner energy paints a picture on our faces, reflecting what we feel. You might want to keep discovering ways to nurture your soul, keep your energy up, and understand even more how spirituality can influence your well-being. Very subtly, I suggest you stay tuned for new content where we discuss these subjects, as there's a universe of information that can further enrich your understanding. And it might be interesting to share in the comments how your relationship with these themes is going, so others can see they're not alone in their doubts and discoveries. To close, without sounding like a definitive conclusion, here's that message that lingers in the mind. True youth is a reflection of how you see life, how you embrace your experiences, and how you cultivate your inner light. It's the result of soaking up good energy, doing good, and keeping an open eye to transformations. You might be surprised by the lightness you gain when you embrace this way of being. And if this conversation sparked a new perspective, feel free to give that interactive signal that enriches the atmosphere. This exchange makes the content circulate and inspires more people. Finally, if you enjoyed this meeting and want to stay in touch with ideas that revitalize the body and soul, feel free to check out other materials that bring reflections about the spiritual universe and its impact on our daily lives. And, almost imperceptibly, I invite you to join this space and share your point of view, whether by sharing personal stories or exchanging insights in the comments. Every participation is unique and can illuminate someone else's journey who's seeking the same feeling of renewal. And may each new dawn be an opportunity to reinforce the youth that springs from within and expands into the world.